We all know that you have all those really crazy ideas in the best way possible, but how do you come up with those ideas? Could you tell me more about your creative process? And also, once you have those great ideas, how do you go about capitalizing those really ambitious ideas if you have very few limited financial resources?
Well, I think the great thing about sort of software or anything which just involves intellectual capital of you and you and a few friends, is that you can just do it. So that's why doing some sort of internet thing or software thing is great as an initial company to create. And that's why Zip2 and PayPal, they gave me the capital to attempt to do more capital-intense activities. As far as idea generation, I think I tend to think of things from a sort of physics standpoint, like from a first principle standpoint, what would be the best way to accomplish something, and then pursue that. And that's also a good way to determine if there's if something's far from its optimum. Like on rockets, for example, one could say, that you could reason by analogy and say the rocket's going to cost a certain amount because that's what prior rockets have cost. Or you can say, well, what is a rocket made of? What are the material constituents? What do they weigh? What's the cost per unit mass? And that sets the limit asymptotically for what a rocket can be. So if you can figure out some creative way to rearrange those elements into a rocket shape, then you can achieve a much better outcome. That's the first principles approach. And I think also just combining ideas from different industries is really helpful for innovation. So what have people discovered in one industry, and can that be applied to other industries? That's, I think, also a great source of ideas. But you usually just struggle on a solution, and you try a bunch of things. Some of them don't work, and most of them don't work, and occasionally one does. Yeah.
You mentioned the startup of PayPal, which is a great innovation that happened in sort of how we pay for things. That seems to me an area in which there hasn't been as much subsequent innovation other than Bitcoin as there should be. In other words, quickly transferring money, especially to people you don't know or whatever, is, to me, maybe I'm wrong, far more difficult than it seems like it should be. Are you somewhat disappointed with the way PayPal then proceeded, or are you disappointed with the lack of innovation in the digital currency environment?
Yeah, PayPal has definitely, it hasn't moved much since from when it was sort of bought by eBay. The long-term vision that I had for PayPal, or sort of in sort of finance, was well, it sounds a bit strange, like to convert the financial system from a series of heterogeneous, insecure databases to one database. Mm-hmm. Or, well, not one database, but maybe there'd be like a few more. The money is just a number in a database. That's what it is. And it's primarily an information mechanism for labor allocation. And the current databases are not very efficient. Like there are these old legacy mainframes that don't talk to each other very well, have poor security, and only do batch processing once a day.
Are you glad PayPal is being spun off?
It's probably the right move.
And what would you do with it?
Well, I think I converted it into more of a full-service financial institution. So you want to do all the things that a consumer. You want to have like all the financial services that somebody needs in one place, seamlessly integrated together and easy to use. And I think really care about the consumer. I think a lot of banks don't seem to care that much about the customer. So I think there's an opportunity to be like a really good bank, effectively, but much more than what people think of as.
Do you think Bitcoin will be disruptive in that way? Now it's a speculative currency. Will it be something that will be what normal consumers will use and will disrupt the banking industry.
Now, my opinion of Bitcoin is that, I mean, I think Bitcoin is probably a good thing, but it's essentially, its main thing will be, I mean, this will probably get quoted here and there, but it's I think it's primarily going to be a means of doing illegal transactions. But that's not necessarily entirely bad, because some things should be, maybe shouldn't be illegal. But
The combination of Silk Road and Bitcoin will save us?
well, it will be useful for legal and illegal transactions. Otherwise, it would have no value as a use of for a legal transaction, because you have to have a legal to illegal bridge.
Yeah.
I don't own any Bitcoin, by the way.
All right.
So.